Hello everybody. It is I, Padel, aka Faye, coach of your Glasgow Gliscores, and welcome back to another draft analysis for another league. And this is not just any league. This is the league, the best of them all. It's the PDD. We're back with PDD Season 3. It's the best of them all because it's our league. I'm super fucking excited to be back for this season. After taking a break with Season 2, we're back in Season 3, baby. Not all of the coaches, not all of the admins, not all of the OGs are back. Onesie and Kilo Boom are not gonna be here, but KJ is, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting, and I can't wait to start. Now, before we get into the team, I'm gonna be talking about the rules real quick. There's not much to say really. It's all pretty standard. There were 16 players. Each of them has to draft 10 to 11 mons. Snake draft as usual. The main thing about PDD that differentiates it from most other leagues is its Terra rules. Because our Terra rules, I feel like, are some of the best, some of the most creative and innovative rules around, because as I'm going to show you right now, we don't only have a budget, but we have a budget for Terra types as well. So let me explain. So first off, if you followed last season I believe the Terra captains were limited to 8 or 9 and below. This season we decided, a bit controversially, I'll admit, there was a bunch of discussion about it, but ultimately we had already decided collectively that the Terra cap would be 12 points and under. So that allows for a lot more mons to be allowed to Terra, and a lot of broken stuff was allowed, which we didn't draft any of that because we like to go against the current and we like to be creative and use lower tiers. But yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. There's some really broken stuff around, like there's Terra Cerulege around. Just Terra 12 points is gonna be pretty much mid-tier Terra rather than low-tier Terra. And I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be shaking things up a bit, because I felt like low tier Terra was getting a bit stale. So to shake things up a bit, we wanted to try and allow some higher point mons. And yeah, so the Terra rules. You have 25 points to spread between your Terra captains, and each of them has to have 3 types. Unlike last season, you can decide not to run a stab type, with the caveat that if you do run a stab type, the first stab you pick is going to be free, whereas if you don't run a stab type, you're going to have to pay for all 3 Terra types. So the Terra types, as you can see on the screen, cost from 1 to 3 points, depending on how we valued them based on their usefulness and their power. So like, as you can see, Terra Waterfare, Steel, and Normal are going to be 3 points. Normal is up there because with this Terra cap at 12 points, a lot of these speeders were allowed to Terra. So like, you have stuff like Arcanine, Hisui, and Lucario running around, and we didn't just want to give them a free Terra Normal E-speed, so we put it at the highest cost. They all drafted Terra Normal, by the way, so it didn't stop them from that. 2-point Terra types are going to be the ones that are more useful, but situationally, whereas the 3 points are always good to have. You have stuff like Dark, Fighting, Fire, Electric, Grass. Types that are going to be useful, types that can give you a pretty good defensive profile, as well as some offensive power in Ice, for example, or Electric, Flying, Fire. Yeah, just a type that are not brain dead picks like Water, Fairy, and Steel. The types that need a bit more playing around, and then the 1-point types are the ones that are usually, but not always, pretty useless, or the types that you generally don't want to run in Bug, Rock, Psychic, and Stellar, just because they're not necessarily bad, but they're not the optimal types. Like when you're allowed to draft whatever Terra types you you can get. You're most likely not going to go with either of these. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be nice to see what people can cook up with the lower point, the lower valued Terra types. But yeah, these are the rules. And now we're going to get into the team. So I'm gonna be explaining how this is gonna work, because I'm not gonna do my usual thing of going in depth about every single mon right away. I'm gonna be pretty much introducing every single one of them, giving you a general overview of what the mon does. If you're not familiar with it, if you are, I mean, you can just watch and hear me speak, hear me talk, hear me yap. I don't know, do whatever you want. But I'm gonna be pretty quick with this initial part of the draft analysis and just introduce the team, and then afterwards I'm gonna be talking about the overall vision with the team, the overall synergy between the teammates, because I feel like I drafted a pretty fun and niche team, which definitely has a lot more synergy than some of the others I've drafted, and it definitely needs to work together rather than as a single unit in a team. So I don't know if I'm explaining myself, but basically the team makes more sense if you see it as a full picture rather than individual pieces. So yeah, without further ado, let's start introducing the team members. So I was third seed, and my first pick is going to be very controversial for some of you, because some might agree with me that this is one of the best mons in draft, and it's definitely first round worthy. Maybe not as a third seed, like there was stuff like there was way more broken stuff running around like Iron Valiant and stuff like that, but it's one mon that I really enjoy, that I've missed using. I've used it once in my first league, and yeah, as my first mon I took Meowscarada. Now Meowscarada is an amazing mon, which is just so versatile, which I think its versatility alone makes it worth being a first round pick. I just feel so comfortable using Meowscarada. It's probably the mon I've used the most in OU, outside of Terra. Outside of draft. It has an amazing ability in Protean, which even after the nerf is still really fucking good, especially on Scarf sets, for example, because you're gonna be locked into a move. So you're gonna be locking into a move for which you're gonna have stab. You can change your type to resist an incoming attack that you predict your opponent of going for. You can go for stab U-turns and just U-turn around, be a nuisance, and stuff like that. You have a very good stat spread, which is really good offensively with 110 attack and 123 speed, and also a fairly usable 81 special attack. Like you can run Life Orb mixed sets, or even Choice Specs sets if you want, or Eject Pack with Leaf Storm. There's a bunch of possibilities you can go for with that. But also you are pretty deceptively bulky. Like Meowscarada is a pretty frail mon, don't get me wrong, but it's not the worst defensive profile. Like Grass and Dark actually has some useful resistances, while it's not the best defensively, just because you're quad weak to U-turn. You have a bunch of weaknesses, but you also have a bunch of resistances and a psychic immunity, like a ghost resistance, ground resistance, and 76, 70, 70 can actually take a couple of hits from a lot of stuff. So yeah, you can stick on the field a fair bit. Like you're not gonna be a wall, not by any mean, but you're gonna be able to fire off 1 or 2 hits. So yeah, Meowscarada is the first pick. I'm not gonna be talking about it much more, because we all know what Meowscarada does. Instead, we're gonna be going straight to our second pick, which is Ursaluna Blood Moon. So this pick kind of put a wrench in my plans, because yes, I did plan my whole draft beforehand. I originally had the regular Ursaluna in my plan, which Zontafer took in the round right before mine. I was pretty upset, but I mean, not really, like, it's whatever. But I was pretty upset because I had a plan and now I had to do something different. But then I realized there's another Ursaluna on the board, so I picked this one, which in hindsight, it's probably the better choice anyways. Like, it fits my team a lot better, and it's just probably the better version of Ursaluna. I just wanted to try the physical one, but this one is most likely better. Like, I'm gonna say that. Ursaluna Blood Moon is insanely bulky with 113 HP, 120 defense, a usable 65 special defense, but you're gonna be buffing the hell out of it with Calm Mind, and just like you have recovery in Moonlight, which I don't think regular Ursaluna has. You have an amazing ability in Mind's Eye, which is basically Scrappy and Keen Eye combined, meaning you can hit ghost types with fighting and normal type moves, and your accuracy can't be lowered, and you ignore evasiveness. So like the Keen Eye part is a bit more niche, but the Scrappy part is definitely super useful. And yeah, you have an amazing move pool with moves such as Vacuum Wave for priority. You have Earth Power for reliable stab. You have the broken ass move that is Blood Moon, which is basically Gigaton Hammer, but normal type and special on a mon with 135 special attack and Calm Mind to boost itself. The drawback being that you can't use it twice, which doesn't really matter because you're slow anyway, so you're probably going to be wanting to be clicking Blood Moon Moonlight to heal off the damage you took, or Blood Moon Calm Mind. You can like keep setting up and firing off increasingly powerful Blood Moons, or you can Blood Moon then Vacuum Wave to finish off the mon if it survived with a little bit of HP, then Blood Moon again, then Vacuum Wave again, and like it's not even a drawback. Like, it's insane how good this mon is. You don't get a ton of coverage on the special side. Like, you get stuff like Moonblast, and I think that's about it. But I mean, you don't really need it when you have a normal type move that can hit ghost types, and you have a ground type move to go alongside it to hit the steel types. You're pretty much set. Like, you don't need anything else. You've got coverage for most of the stuff, barring like a Corviknight or a Skarmory, which they're more physically defensive. So you're gonna be dealing a lot of damage into those as well. So yeah, I'm talking too much already. This is Ursaluna Blood Moon. Next up on the roster is gonna be Hatterene. Hatterene is one of my favorite mons, period. She's amazing. She's an amazing mon with an amazing ability in Magic Bounce, allowing it to bounce off status moves and hazards. She's an amazing hazard blocker. You have really good stat spread with Deceptive Bulk, because 57 HP is not a lot, but it's helped a ton by its really high 95 base defense and 103 base special defense. You have an insane special attack of 136, and even a usable attack stat of 90, which Hatterene gets Sword Stance, by the way. I don't know why, but she gets Sword Stance, so you can slap things around, and you actually get a fair bit of coverage on the physical side. Like, you get Plague Rough, you get stuff like Shadow Claw. Yeah, you get a bit of stuff. Psycho Cut. So, but Hatterene's main job is mainly to be a really good support mon, bulky support mon with moves like Nuzzle, which is an amazing move. The 100% chance to paralyze the target. You have purely supportive moves like Healing Wish. You have Slow Baton Pass to pass it off to your teammates. You have Screens, you have Page Split. You also have the option to be a more setup sweeper kind of, or breaker with Calm Mind. You have Draining Kiss to keep yourself healthy, or Dazzling Gleam if you want to deal a bit more damage with a fairy move. You have moves like Psychic, Psyshock, Coverage, and Mystical Fire, Shadow Ball. You have a lot of stuff, and you have Trick Room as an option, which Hatterene is an amazing Trick Room user and Trick Room abuser and self Trick Room user. More on that later. I think you're starting to see already where this team is going. But yeah, Hatterene is an amazing mon, one of my favorites, like I said, and I can't wait to use her. Next up is our bulky water type. Pretty much mandatory in every single draft. This time it's Blastoise. This was our second and only other not planned pick, and it's a direct consequence of picking Ursaluna Blood Moon instead of regular Ursaluna, because Blood Moon costs 1 point more than regular, and this meant that my original plan, which was Milotic for a bulky water type, wasn't available anymore because it was 1 point over the limit. So instead I took Blastoise, which ultimately I think, just like Ursaluna Blood Moon, ended up being the better choice out of the two. Just because my original plan had the flaw, which I didn't really consider, of not having a hazard remover. So we were basically only relying on Hatterene to keep the hazards off the field by blocking them rather than removing them. Now we have Blastoise, which is an amazing rapid spinner. It's got really good bulk. It's not the most impressive bulk around, but it's a really balanced mon, I think. With 79, 100, and 105, it can take most hits. It has usable attack stats in both physical and special attack, which are basically equal. It has pretty good speed, the option to boost all of those offensive stats with Shell Smash and then just go for the sweep. You have really good coverage on both sides with moves such as Hydro Pump Surf, Wave Crash, Earthquake, Ice Beam, Ice Spinner. Like, you can go either way. Like, you can really do whatever you want with Blastoise. It's a really good mon. It's a really reliable mon, one of the most balanced mons around. And yeah, you can run either Shell Smash, or you can run more defensive sets with Leftovers or Heavy Duty Boots, or even AV sets are really good on Blastoise. So yeah, it's my first time drafting Blastoise actually, which is pretty surprising, because you'd think Blastoise would be something I would go for, because it's definitely a me mon, a me type of mon. So I'm pretty happy about it. I think it was the better choice over Milotic actually. I still want to draft Milotic eventually, but this time we got stuck with Blastoise, which was a good outcome. Next up is our first Terra Captain of the draft, and another one of my favorite mons. Like, you can see definitely that I was going more for fun, just because of the sheer amount of my favorite mons I'm drafting. This one is Diancie. Now, Diancie is an amazing mon. I've used the shit out of her in back in Gen 8 OU with a variety of different sets you can run. Like, Clear Body is an amazing ability, first of all, allowing you to run setup sets without worrying about your stats being lowered. I think, of course, you have to worry about Haze, but not a lot of mons have access to Haze. So, yeah, you basically can just set up pretty freely with her. You have a really good stat spread. Like, the 50 HP is a bit unfortunate, but it's completely offset by its amazing defense and special defense of 150 each. You have, once again, really balanced attack and special attack stats of 100, which are both extremely usable. Like, my favorite set to run back in Gen 8 was a physical assault vest set with, like, Play Rough, Diamond Storm, Body Press, and I think the last move was a special coverage move. I think it was Mystical Fire, which is now lost. How dare they? How dare you, Game Freak? Removing Mystical Fire from Diancie should be a crime. But we've lost Mystical Fire, but yeah, the Assault Vest set is extremely good because the physical Assault Vest set, because you can run Assault Vest to boost your special defense, and then with Diamond Storm you have like a 50% chance of getting a +2 to defense. So then you're boosted on the special side, you're boosted on the physical side, and you can start firing off boosted body presses, and you basically become nearly unkillable. Like, you're gonna be sticking around on the field for quite a lot of turns. Now, the Terra types we have are Terra Fairy, Steel, and Stellar. Now, Terra Fairy, of course, was free, and Terra Fairy is one of the best types in the game. Terra Steel is a great defensive type, and I felt like it was a bit more valuable than Water, just because it makes us not weak to Water. It makes us resist Grass type. It makes us resist Steel. It's really good. It's really good on Diancie. Yes, we're still weak to Ground, but I feel like we can circumvent that in some ways. And Terra Stellar was my budget-conscious Terra type. But it's also really good, in my opinion, because Diancie gets a lot of coverage. And how Terra Stellar works is it gives a Terra boost to every move of its type the first time you use it. So if you have 3 different type moves, each one of them, the first time you use it, is gonna get buffed. So you basically have 3 Terra boosted attacks back to back to back, or 4, like if you go Assault Vest or Specs or something. So yeah, I think it's gonna be really good. I think Diancie is one of the most underrated mons around, and it's not really easy to make work, but I feel like I have enough experience with Diancie to really show her potential and make her shine among all the other mons. So yeah, Diancie is probably my favorite pick so far. Maybe behind Masquerada, but I've wanted to use Diancie ever since I started draft, so I'm glad I'm finally able to get her. Next up is an amazing fucking mon. One that I haven't had the chance to use yet as well. And one that I feel like I've underestimated a bit in my history. I'm talking about Hoopa Unbound. Hoopa Unbound is a ridiculous mon. You have offenses that are on par with some of the most powerful Ubers. You have 170 special attack which is the same as Kyurem White, and 160 base attack, which is almost the same as Kyurem Black. So you have some of the highest offense around on both sides of the spectrum, with moves allowing you to abuse both of those. Like you have on the special side, you have Psyshock, you have Psychic, Dark Pulse, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, and a whole bunch of moves. And on the physical side, you have the broken Hyperspace Fury, which is a 100 base power move with which lowers your defense when you use it, but it's extremely spammable. You also have Knockoff, you have Drain Punch, Zen Headbutt, all the elemental punches, Phantom Force even if you want to use that. Hoopa can just do so much stuff. It's, in my opinion, one of those amazing, one of the best type of mons to run AV on, because I love mons that can run AV and don't need to run special bulk alongside with it to be able to live hits. Like with a 80 HP and 130 special defense, you are gonna be taking you're gonna be taking every single special hit unless it's like a Specs bug type special attack. So that allows you to invest more in HP or speed and maximize your offenses, and it gives you a lot more freedom where you don't need to run full bulk. The only downside of Hoopa is its defense, which is pretty low at 60, but it's still usable. Like, you can still take a hit or two, and I feel like they had to give it a flaw, otherwise it would have been the most broken thing around. And its speed tier is also really good for us because it's smack in the middle. 80 base speed is basically like the exact middle of the pack in terms of speed. Like, you can either be fast with a Choice Scarf, with a Choice Specs, Choice Band set, or max speed AV, or you can be slower, which works in Trick Room, for example. More on that later once again. But yeah, this is Hoopa, our sixth mon. I'm so scared of this thing. It's probably gonna be doing a lot of work for us. Next up, a mon that needs no introduction. We've used this one in the past, even though it was just for one game. Now, Earthworm is it's a pretty good mon. I mainly took it because I needed a steel type, I needed a ground immunity, and this is a steel type which not only is immune to ground, it also gets healed by ground type moves, which is really good. Its Earth Eater ability is extremely good. It's a really good lead, it's a really good hazard setter, it's an amazing physical wall with 145 base defense, which it can boost with Iron Defense and use offensively with Body Press. I mainly took this thing out of guilt because I had it in IBL, I traded it away before being able to use it in any game, and then the one game I used it was when I already traded it for the week after, and it performed really well in that game, so I felt so guilty about dropping it. I saw its potential when building with it, and I was like, "Fuck! I could have made this work. Why didn't I keep it?" So we're taking it again, and this time we're keeping it. We're keeping the worm on the team. It's gonna be good. I feel like it's gonna be good. It's just slow enough to work. It's bulky. It's defensive. It's a physically defensive mon, which we kinda lacked. Yeah, Blastoise can fulfill that role pretty well, but Earthworm is specifically dedicated to that role. You also have the option to go more offensive with coil sets, like Coil Iron Tail to boost its accuracy and go with a 100 base power Steel type stab move. Earthworm, I apologize for dropping you. I wasn't familiar with your game. I am now, and hopefully I can put you to good use. I'm confident I can. Next up is, wouldn't you guess it, another one of my favorite mons to use. One I've used a lot in Gen 8 National Dex in my Trick Room team. It's Embor. Now, Embor is probably considered to be one of the worst starters ever. Definitely the worst out of the 3 firefighting starters, although I think that's debatable right now because Infernimp has been really underperforming. But I've personally always been an Embor fan. Embor is an extremely fun mon. And did I mention it's our second Terra Captain? Because it is. It's our second Terra Captain, which is hopefully going to let it shine a lot more. So Embor has an insane potential to do damage. You have the Reckless ability, which boosts your recoil moves, and it gets access to Flare Blitz, Head Smash, and Wild Charge to make full use of that. Like Life Orb or Choice Banded, Terra Rock Head Smash is stronger than Hisuian Arcanine's Head Smash. Off of 123 attack, that is insane power. As well as Flare Blitz with Terra Fire. Like Embor can just break through walls with ease with those moves. Like if you thought our banded Arcanine Hisui from PDD Season 1 was strong, wait till you see what this thing can do, because it will blow you away. With Terra Grass, I'm mainly aiming to remove my water and ground weaknesses, making them resists. But also it gives us a boost to moves such as Grass Knot and Trailblaze. Trailblaze also getting boosted to 60 base power from 50 because of how Terra works, that it boosts moves under 60 base power to 60, and then you get the stab from Terra on top of that, so it becomes a 90 base power move. So it becomes very respectable damage. It deals very respectable damage, and it boosts our speed, which is good. But also Embor is a very good mixed user, which you wouldn't tell looking at it, but it has 100 special attack, which is not bad at all. The one I used in National Dex on my starter Trick Room team had, I believe, Flare Blitz, Close Combat, Hidden Power Electric, and Grass Knot. Embor also gets Scald for some reason, so you can use that on a mixed or special set. So yeah, this is Embor. It's an amazing fucking mon, in my opinion, one of the most underrated mons of all time. For good reasons, I'd say. Like, it's not great usually, but if you position it well, if you got good support for it on the team, it can definitely put in a lot of work. Next up is another mon I've wanted to use for quite a long time. It's Gengar. Now, Gengar has fallen off quite a bit from its past days of glory, losing Levitate, but that also kind of benefits it on my team, because Cursed Body, while being worse than Levitate in almost every aspect, the one aspect it outshines it is when you don't have another grounded poison on your team. So Gengar being able to touch the ground and absorb those T-Spikes is going to be really useful for us, especially when we only have Blastoise as a hazard removal. Sorry. Gengar is still amazing in my opinion. Like, you can't fully say Gengar is bad right now. You definitely cannot. It has 130 base special attack, which is still really high even up to today's standards. 110 base speed is really good, especially for a team, because it fills up a bit of the gap between the 123 of Meowscarada and the 80 from Hoopa, giving us a 110 speed tier, which is really, really good. It's really fast, it's really strong, it has a ton of special coverage to make use of that special attack. Like you have moves like Shadow Ball, Sludge Wave, Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam, Dark Pulse, Energy Ball, you name it. Gengar probably has it. You can also go for more supportive, like utility sets with, I think it gets Toxic Spikes. Yeah, it gets Toxic Spikes, it gets Will-O-Wisp, Toxic, Trick, Thunder Wave. You get all the status in the game, basically. You get Taunt. Yeah, you also get Hypnosis. You do get all the status in the game. You get Perish Song, Pain Split, Destiny Bond, Curse if you want to be annoying to bulky walls in front of you. You get Disable, you get Encore, you name it. Gengar can do so much stuff. It's a mon that appreciates a lot of items as well. You can run Choice Specs, Choice Scarf, Boots, Focus Sash to be able to tank a hit, offsetting its not optimal bulk. And yeah, Gengar is just a really, really good mon. Another one of those mons that I feel it's a bit underrated right now just because of the power creep, but it's not to be underestimated. Though I feel like I did kind of underestimate it in the draft, but it was the right call because Gengar either goes among the first picks or it doesn't get picked. So I felt like while I really wanted it, I was comfortable waiting up until this point late in the draft to get it. So yeah, this leads us into our final team member, which is funny as fuck. I love this mon. It's Exeggutor Alola. Alolan Exeggutor is a very, very funny mon, which fits, but it's not funny in the sense of my usual last picks, like Trio or what was it, Chimecho or whatever. This is a funny, good pick. Like it was 4 points, but it's one of the better ones. It's really, really good. It can definitely put in a lot of work, especially on our team. You have 2 amazing abilities for draft in Frisk and Harvest. Frisk, gaining you knowledge about your opposing team's items, is extremely valuable, as we've been seeing in Noivern. And Harvest is really, really good, giving you either longevity with Citrus Berry being able to activate multiple times, or Custap Berry even. Like we can bring back the Harvest Custap like we did with Arboliva in IBL. You have really good offensive stats both on the attack and special attack side with 105 and 125 respectively, allowing you to run either sets. You can run physical with Wood Hammer, Dragon Hammer, which is it's a hilarious move. It's a signature move, I believe. You have Earthquake, Iron Head, Knockoff. You have a bunch of physical options, as well as a whole slew of special options in Leaf Storm, Draco Meteor. You have recovery in both Synthesis and Moonlight. You have Psychic, Psyshock, Sludge Bomb, you name it, like Flamethrower. You have amazing coverage on this one. I think Earth Power as well. No, it doesn't get Earth Power, but like you have so much fucking coverage. It's so good that while being a different version of regular Exeggutor, it still retains the Gen 1 blessing of getting access to all of those insane TMs. So yeah, Alolan Exeggutor also has pretty good bulk, like 95, 85, 75 is pretty fucking good, and it's got a pretty unique typing, even though now we have quite a fair bit of Grass Dragons running around, with the Applin line being expanded upon with the Hydrapple, but it's still a really fun and quite good typing, I'd say. Like you get a fair bit of resistances and a lot of benefits from it. In terms of what items you can run, of course I mentioned the berries, but you can also run just like a Choice Specs set. You can run AV, it's another very good AV user, just because of all the amount of coverage it gets. You can run a very fun set with Eject Pack. Eject Pack running Draco Meteor and Leaf Storm, being able to fire off a super powerful hit. lower your stats, activate a jetpack, and get a free switch into something else. And yeah, Executor Alola is such a fun mon. It's just fun. It's a good mon that is enjoyable to use, and I love that. So yeah, this is the team. I took a fair bit longer than I expected, but here we are right now. So I said I would talk about the vision. I think I've pretty much spoiled it already, and even if I didn't, you would have caught on. We are a Trick Room team, a pretty heavy Trick Room team. Like we went pretty all in on it, even though we do have a fast mode with base 80s, like as well as Meowscarada and Gengar. You have Hoopa, which can be faster. You have Blastoise, which can be Shell Smash or just be faster in general. You have fast options, but we are mainly a Trick Room team. But now I'm gonna be talking about Trick Room a bit. So basically, what I wanted to say is that I think people really underestimate Trick Room in singles because they don't use it optimally, and this is completely and just my opinion. What I mean by that is that people usually tend to run Trick Room drafting slow abusers and Trick Room setters, like separately. Like you see the Hatterines, which we do have, but like Hatterene is a very good abuser as well. You see the Porygon Z's, you see the Cofagrigus, sorry, Porygon 2, not Porygon Z. Mons that wanna set up Trick Room and then like be bulky, like Cresselia, set up Trick Room, and then switch out and go into the abuser. That wastes a lot of turns. That because you need one turn to set it up, you're down to 4, and one turn to switch, you're down to 3. How I like to use Trick Room and how I've seen it get more success is by drafting or by using a lot of Trick Room setters that are also themselves Trick Room users. So as you can see on our team, we have Hatterene, which I've already talked about extensively. You have Diancie, which is probably one of the prime examples of this. Like one of the sets I've seen around the most in the lower tiers right now is a self Trick Room user. Like you can run Meteor Beam, Power Herb. Like you can set up your own Trick Room and then fire off a Meteor Beam, get the +1 in special attack, and then just break with your coverage moves. Like fire off super strong Moon Blasts, Earth Powers, or whatever else moves you have. Or you can be a Trick Room Calm Mind with Moon Blast and Earth Power or something else. And I think that's the best way to use Trick Room. Like you also look at Hoopa, it can set up its own Trick Room, maybe even be room service to ensure it underspeeds stuff. But like I talked about, being 80 base speed, you have the potential of going full min speed and underspeed most stuff already. So you can set up your own Trick Room and then make use of your insanely high 160, 170 offensive stats to just punch holes into the enemy teams, claim 1, 2, or maybe even 3 lives during the duration of Trick Room, because you get 4 whole turns to take advantage of it, to be able to fire off fully powered attacks without having to worry about being outsped. Or you look at Executor, even Executor also gets Trick Room. It's very slow with base 45, so it's gonna outspeed, and you can run Trick Room with the eject pack that I talked about earlier. If you want to set it up, fire off a super strong attack, and then switch out into another abuser, like the ones that don't get Trick Room that we have, namely Ursaluna and Emboar. Or you can stay in and just attack, either with a mix set. You can like fire off a Draco and then hit them with a Wood Hammer or Earthquake or whatever. Like, I think that's the most optimal way to use Trick Room in singles. Like, the dedicated Trick Room setters are way more useful in doubles, in my opinion, because in doubles you have a teammate alongside it that can make use of it for the whole duration of Trick Room. Whereas in singles, you have to be conscious of all the turns you get. So if you can maximize them by being able to stay in and make use of Trick Room immediately, I feel like that's a lot more valuable. And if you look at our faster mons, you're gonna notice they're also Trick Room setters. Both Meowscarada and Gengar get Trick Room. So while you're not gonna be wanting to use Trick Room them for most of the time, you can like lead a Sash Meowscarada or a Sash Gengar, which you could lead like regardless. Like they both really appreciate Sash, and depending on what you have in front of you, you can either go fast mode and just hit them, or set up hazards, or you can set up Trick Room, EV yourself to where you're gonna be slower than them in Trick Room, and then make use of your high offenses to just fire off a powerful attack or two, go down, and then get in one of your main Trick Room abusers. With Meowscarada, you can also U-turn out after underspeeding them in Trick Room. So yeah, honestly, I think this whole team has either the potential to be my worst creation yet or my best creation yet. It's definitely the most synergistic creation yet. So yeah, as you can like, what I mean is that the whole team really works together as a single unit. Like, it's what I meant earlier. They're not single pieces that just happen to be fit together. They all work together as one team, and this is what I like in my teams. I don't like teams that are too like individualistic with the mons. I like teams that work together really well, and I feel like a Trick Room team. Trick Room is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, archetype to use in singles because of that, because of how well it makes all of the team members work together. And yeah, like I said, we're not really in it to win it. If we win it, like, I'm gonna try, and I think we have a chance at winning a lot of games, if not the league. But we're mainly here to have fun. But I feel like this team has the potential to be something great, as long as I manage to use it well. But yeah, this has been my draft for PDD Season 3. Tell me what you think about it in the comments if you wish. Uploads are gonna be every Saturday. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to put this out by this Saturday. I'm gonna try, but the editing is probably gonna take a while, but I'm gonna be trying my best. And yeah, this has been it from me. I am Padel, coach of the Glasgow Glidescorers, and I can't wait to start this season. It's definitely gonna be my most fun season yet, after drafting in Ubers and drafting Qianpao and playing with objectively good broken stuff. I want to run my own teams, like some silly ass unusual mons that just might work. So yeah, that's it from me for today, and I'll see you next week with week 1 of PDD Season 3. Bye bye everyone.